students, you might be from third year, fourth year. So you have some amount of thoughts in your mind. So after your degree, what are you going to do, and what are the kind of jobs, or what are the job descriptions that you have to look for, and what are the kind of skills that you have to develop. So this is the main thing that we are focusing today. Not only this, I'm going to segregate, or I'm going to give you the entire structure of an IT company, or what all the things that are happening in an IT company. So, and as a fresher, where you will fit into the company. So yesterday we discussed about, Prabhakaran discussed about what a company does in a management perspective. So today we will discuss what a company does in a technical perspective. Both are very important. Both are like two wheels of a cycle, of a motorcycle. So if both are not running properly, a company will not run properly. So this is what the main agenda of this call today. I'll ensure that I'll touch base all the major topics, or the major structure in an IT company, and I'll give you a brief introduction on every single topic that we discuss on. I believe that this session is going to be really helpful for you guys. Although I'm just going to give you a brief description. If you are interested, you can get in touch with Purushothaman sir to get further more details, and you can contact me if you are really interested. So without wasting further ado, I think I can share my screen and start to the session. All good, Purushothaman? Shall we proceed with the session?
Yes, Mohan, you can start your session.
Okay, thank you. I hope you all can see my screen.
Yes, Mohan, it is visible.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so this is how we start, right? When you think about you want to get into an IT company, you'll have to understand that what are the kind of companies you hear a lot of companies. There are so many. There are plenty of companies. You can easily categorize those companies in just two words. One is a product-based company. Another one is a service-based company. So what is a product-based company? So in an IT company, just a minute. Okay, so as we're talking, so one is a product-based and another one is a service-based. So when you hear about a product-based company, the product-based company is a large-scale industry. When you say a company which develops their own products, the company which will not depend on any other external third-party company. For example, if you take Samsung, if you take Apple, they can make their own product right from the scratch, right from the beginning. They can develop their own product, they can test it, they can market it. So they are not dependent on any other companies as such. For example, if you take Apple, for their assembly unit, they are depending on Chinese companies, but that will come in majorly like supply chain management and some part of manufacturing. But when you take the entire life cycle, the entire life cycle will be planned perfectly within the company. So that is what you call as a product-based company. So these companies will be creating revenue based on the products they sell. They don't depend on other companies, as I said earlier. So if you want to get some examples, these are the examples. These are the main examples that we can tell them as a product-based company. The one is Google or Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Oracle, Salesforce, Force.com, or whatever company you take, right? Their complete right from the beginning of the development of a product towards the end, everything happens within the company. So the next is a service based company. So what is a service based company? A service based company is just like you know is a company which they will mostly operate for others. The major difference you can understand here is a product based company is the starts within the company, the entire process will end within the company. But for a service based company, they will depend on other companies projects. For example, if you take a service based company, or let's say that you are using an ATM machine. Okay, you are using an IRTC website for booking your railway tickets. Now you can clearly understand that the government of India, the railways of India, they are not building their own website. Or if you take an HDFC ATM, or if you take an ICICI ATM, we are definitely sure that the banking company or the bank is not going to build any software for that particular machine, right? So by the time they have to outsource that particular job to an external company. So when a company picks up that particular job and they create software for the particular purpose. So when I say, if I want to just put it in short words, a service based company will create software for a purpose for a third party company. That's all. So there are several things, when the company creates a particular software, right from the development towards till the maintenance. So they can have multiple phases, and during the maintenance phase also, they can have everything is contract based, right? So the service
Right.
based. Someone just talked. You want to say anything?
No, Morgan, you may continue.
Okay. So yeah, this is the major difference of a service-based company. So as I said, the service would be always contract basis, and the revenue would be like two types. When you complete a project, you will get the entire amount, or if that is a continuous project, the company will pay the service-based company on a hourly basis or day basis. So this is how these companies are making revenues. So these are the major two types of companies that we can categorize. And you take any single company, they will be under only these two sectors. Okay. So if you want to get an idea of the examples, you take TCS, Tata Consultancy Services, Cognizant, Infosys, HCL, Wipro. You can say multiple companies. When you get into these kind of companies, those companies will have individual projects. For example, I'm from Cognizant. I'm working for a third party project. Within Cognizant, we have like n number of projects. Within projects, the people will be working on different sectors. So in a service based company, you can find every single sector. You can take finance, you can take technology, you can take cloud services, you can name it. You will find every single technology being worked in one service based company. But in a product based company, the entire thing is totally different. So when they focus to make something, let's say an Apple company wants to make an iPhone, and they want to create only iPhone. So they will be looking at hardware level, software level, and the services which are in and around iPhones. So they will be creating the such mechanism. But when you look into service based company, the service based company will be focusing only on delivering the project on time and making good revenue. So their main focus is to get a better um, a client satisfaction and a good revenue from the client. So this will be the only factor that they are focusing in a service based company. So hope you can clearly understand both the difference between the categories. Now there is a third. Now there is a subcategory in an IT company, in the IT industry, right? So that is called as ITES. So the ITES is commonly known as Information Technology Enabled Services. Now you can hear that when you start looking for a job, you will be frequently getting offers from BPOs, outsourcing companies. So what are these outsourcing companies? What are BPOs? So what do they actually do? So these IT companies, or like these ITES companies, though they majorly take advantage of the information technology, and they will perform a particular process. So to be in a simple terms, this is the explanation. For example, if let's say you are buying a phone, or you are buying a television, and there is a problem with the television, or right away you will reach out to a customer care, right? So there are people sitting out there and taking your calls and helping you to fix your problem. So this is how, let's say you are buying a Thomson TV. So Thomson can outsource to a company. So let's say there are service-based companies like TCS, Wipro. So they can put in some 10 number, 20 number of people in the calling seat, and then they can outsource the product. They can give the knowledge about the product in the sense, we are talking about the Thomson TV. So they will give the every single detail about the product to the team, so that they have enormous knowledge about the product. And when the customer calls, they will be able to give whatever information that is required to the customer. So these are the main operations that we have, that we can discuss here. So one thing is sales, support, and documentation work. See, that can be sales. You just you might have randomly got some sales call, like you want credit card, you want personal loans, or you want this holiday. There are so many things, right? So this is happening in a financial level, but in the technical level also there is sales. Okay, how do I categorize the technical level sales? For example, you can see that if you are buying an Apple product, you can add a particular a service, or you can extend your warranty period to some level, so that you have to pay some additional dollars, you have to pay some additional amount to get that extra coverage for your product. So that becomes a technical sale. So the support is just, we discussed about when you have a problem, when you run into a problem in your computer, or in your television, or your mobile phone, whatever product that you have purchased, when you get the service support from the caller, that is the support. When you say the documentation works, there are a lot of companies, they do, right? For example, if you take a country like US or UK, for example, they will deal everything with insurance only. So they will not have immediate cash in their own. So every single person will have their own insurance, and all their medical history will be recorded for every individual in the USA or in the UK. Their medical history will be recorded. So that has to be maintained in a particular documentation works, right? So those documentation works will be outsourced by the hospitals, or the hospital will give it to a service-based company. The service-based company will allocate to their BPO sector. So this is the information technology enabled services that we are talking about. Hope I'm making it clear. Right. So the final point about a product-based company and a service-based company here. As I said, their target, their target audience is different. For example, a service-based company only focus on their client, but a product-based company focuses on the entire people. Okay, you want to sell your product, you are selling the product to the huge number of audience. But if you are working for a company, you have to focus only on your deliverables, and on the delivery of your project on the right time, in the right amount, in the right quality. That's all a service-based company has to follow. But a product-based company has to have their own audience. So the approach and development and testing implementation will be largely different. For example, when you take a product-based company, they are on their own. They can create any processes. They can formulate their own ideas. If that is a failure, if that is a success, that is up to them. But when you take a service-based company, everything will be in a very sophisticated process. For example, for a development, whatever is done, whatever has to be done on as per the papers, will be carried over by the company, and every single process will be followed exactly by a service-based company. So because service-based companies believe that following on the right principles, on the right procedure, only we will be able to deliver a quality product to the client. As I told you earlier, the service-based company will be focusing only on the client satisfaction. They don't want to innovate. They don't want to create a new project, and they don't want to create or give a new product to the people. They just want to work for the company, and utmost quality they will be delivering. So this is only their focus on, as I told. So as I told, right, the PB, just the service-based companies will always be following only tried and tested methods. But the for product-based companies, they can create anything. You just look at Elon Musk. Just look at Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg. Whatever they want to do, they have money and they can invest. If it is a failure, that's not a problem. So they will move on. But when you work on an external project, you have to be very careful that the project is not a failure, because if that project fails, then you are answerable to the particular company and the loss of the particular company. Okay, so before we get into the technical things of how the structure or how things for development it's starting within a company, I'm just going to give you a generic. This is not an exact designation hierarchy as such. This is a generic or a typical hierarchy of an IT company. So I'm not discussing the management structure here. I'm just discussing the IT company's technical structure. Okay, so it is IT company will have their own chief technical officer. When you say CEO, that is different. They will manage every single thing, right from management, technical, everything. A CEO is a chief technical officer who makes decisions on the products that should be released. So the next is a president. So the president is almost like a CTO who cannot take the final decision. And below that, there is a vice president, and below that, there is a senior manager, and there's a manager, and there's a software developer lead, and there's a software developer, and there's a junior software developer. So simultaneously, from the manager level, you can see that I mentioned as test manager, test software, software tester lead, and software tester, and junior software tester. Now, at this point, you being a student and you are studying right now, and if you want to get into a IT company, you will be in which category? You can easily think yourself as a junior software developer or junior software tester. So this is where you will land up. Upon getting some 2 to 3 years of experience or 4 to 5 years of experience, you can become a software developer or tester. From there, your journey will move upwards the ladder. Okay, so this is the pretty much the idea of the designation hierarchy as such. So next, from here, we are talking about the software development life cycle. As it says, a software development life cycle is, for example, you can imagine anything. You can, for example, everybody is using mobile phones, and everyone has their own favorite applications. Some guys play PUBG, some listen to music in the music streaming applications, some people love to shop in their Amazon, Flipkart applications, or so on. We can keep saying, right? So what happens when a particular software is being designed, or right from the day one, what happens in a software development life cycle? So this is what we are going to discuss here. So yeah, this is how what happens every single phase, right? Okay, so the first thing is requirement analysis. So the requirement analysis is such when you think when the company decides what all the product should have. For example, if you say that if you take a Flipkart application, where has to be the Flipkart logo, whether it has to be on the left top corner or it has to be on the right top corner. When you click on add to cart, what should happen? When you click on buy now, what should happen? When you look at a website, right, you can understand there are two buttons. One is add to cart, another one is buy now. When you click on buy now, directly you can take it to the order page. But when you click on add to cart, that particular item will be added to the cart. And then if you're looking for further purchase, you can add more products in the cart. So like how this is a very simple example that I have taken, like how you can define that every single action what it has to give as a result. So this is what happens in requirement analysis, right? So requirement analysis is just analyzing or just putting up a paper like which says what are the details that has to be in the particular software. And then the next thing is yes. So in the requirement analysis, what are the teams that are involved in a required analysis? For example, only the high level technical team is involved. For example, in every company, there are three major teams. For a software company, there are three major teams. One is a business team, another one is a developer team, another one is a testing team. Okay, so let's say that phase one, phase two, phase three. Okay, phase one is collecting or analyzing what the product should have. The business team will have a collective idea of what all the things that has to be there, and they will create two kinds of important documents. Okay, so one is the BRD document, that is a business requirement document. Another one is a FRD document, that is a functional requirement document. So when we categorize the documents into two types, one is a business, another one is a functional. So business requirement document will have all the information that are related to the business. Let's say we are talking about a Flipkart or Amazon, right? So when you consider a Flipkart application or an Amazon application, in the business perspective, what it does. For example, there is an external vendor. When you select a product and you are buying, the external vendor is giving. So all the details, when you look at it, that is the business level connection, right? A vendor is giving, a third party vendor is giving a product, or when you make a payment, where does the payment amount goes, whether it goes to the Amazon account, or what percentage it goes to the third party account and what percentage goes to the Amazon account, right? So these kind of details will be there in the business requirement document. And functional requirement document will have complete functional specifications. For example, if you're using an iPhone, the software has to be built in the iOS platform. If you are using an Android phone, the software has to be built for the Android platform. So these kind of all technical details, what language it has to use, and how many clicks, all the technical information will be there in the functional requirement document. Okay, so we will be back to this particular phase when we are talking about the methodologies, the development methodologies that we are going to discuss in some time. Okay, so I'll tell you all those details later. We'll be getting back to this same particular phase again. Okay, just keep that in your mind. The next is planning. Planning is like, okay, everything is fine when you write it down in the paper. So how is it going to work down? How it is going to work when it comes to real-time execution, right? So you can plan anything, but how are you going to make it? At the planning phase, all the major items to achieve the deliverable product will be planned and forecasted, as I said here. So they will forecast, right? In the planning, first of all, they decide the timeline. Timeline is, okay, now right now this is the May end. If we start the project today, when are we going to deliver this project? We can say, okay, on Jan 1st next year, we are delivering this project. So what happens if that is a failure? What if we deliver the project before the timeline? If we can make any additions, those kind of stuff, right? So the entire planning will be happening. The technical feasibility is, let's say I'm just thinking about a super hit product. Okay, let's say the iPhone is the Apple is bringing the next iPhone with an unbelievable feature. Okay, they will just study whether this is technically possible. On paper you can say anything, but whether this is technically possible, or what is the longevity of this feature, and what is the infrastructure requirement that is required, what is the entire amount or the investment that is required for building such a project. Okay, and what kind of resource we require. If you are, suppose if you are bringing up a new technology, should we hire a person who knows the technology, or can we use the existing resources for building the particular product, and do we, how are we allocating the resource. So these kind of things will happen in the planning section and the high level project plan. So the high level project plan is related to the next topic, that is the software design, such as architectural design. Okay, so once the planning is done, okay, so everything is okay, and everything seems possible. The next thing is the business team will discuss with the development team, and the development team will think about building a basic architectural structure. Okay, so this is like yesterday, if you remember, Prabhakaran Ganesan was talking about a minimal viable product. Okay, so when it comes to the technical industry, this is the phase where people will build a minimum viable product. We call it as MVP. So when a minimum viable product is built, that is like they will just build a for example, let's say you are building a new building, that's the physical building. Okay, first what you will do, you will build the structures with the help of iron bars, right? So that is how the software structure, the software architecture will be designed in this phase. So from here, if everything is fine, everything is looking good and well, and then the software development will kick off. See, most of the times the project will stop, or the project will be concluded as a failure in the previous phase. So in this phase, there are so many projects that has become a failure, and or that has considered as a failure, or from this point the development cannot start. Such cases, okay, the failure rate would be somewhere around 10 to 15%. Let's talk about success rate. The next phase is the software development. The software development is just very, as the name explains, just you create the software, that's all. This is the actual coding phase, where the people start coding. They'll create features based on the requirements. Step by step they'll create the entire product. So once the product is built, so the next phase will be testing phase. Okay, so I'm from this background. I am from testing background. So I've been a test engineer for more than 5 years now. So I'm taking this little opportunity to give you a further more information on what is going to happen in this testing phase. This is very important, guys. When the software development is happening, and then the product gets into the testing phase. The testing can be majorly classified as only 4 units, right? But I can say that testing, we can talk about more than 200 to 300 topics here, but all the 200 to 300 topics will fall into these 4 major categories. That's all. So when you talk about those categories, we can call them as unit testing, integration testing, system testing, acceptance testing. Okay, so here I'm just requesting you to think about a rocket. Okay, for example, ISRO or NASA, they are just launching a rocket, let's say. Here you can see that when the rocket is launched, it goes to a certain level, and it has to get divided into multiple parts. Okay, so when the rocket is being built at the laboratory or at the preparation phase, each unit, okay, the each part that has their own operations, right? So now here, that is where what we are calling as an unit testing. A unit testing is a just for example, there are some 1,000 features in a software application. Okay, you just take one particular piece of functionality and test it, that's all. So when you have 1,000 units, you just select one unit and test it and make sure that it works. Simple. So that is what happens in a unit testing. So next is a integration testing. For example, in a rocket that we discussed, in a rocket there is a head part and there is a body part. Okay. Now you have tested the head part and you have tested the body part as well. But when you send the rocket, you have to connect them everything in a single piece. So you are connecting the part A and part 2 and checking whether the both the pieces are working perfectly fine. Simple. Okay, so this is what integration testing is. Just add two pieces which you have already tested and test whether the complete cycle is working. The process flow from the part A to the part A is working. That's all. This is the integration testing module. Okay, so now the third thing is system testing. Okay, so what is the system testing? For example, a rocket has six parts. Okay, six major parts. Now you have tested the part 1 and part 2. Similarly, 3 and 4, 5 and 6. Now you join 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the same one particular piece, and then you test from the beginning to the end. Okay, so this is called as a system testing. This can be called as a system integration testing also. So this is a complete integrated form of a particular software or a particular process. So you have to thoroughly check from point A to point Z if everything is working. So then you conclude that this project, this particular piece of software is ready for deployment. Okay. Now in this phase, I'll give you a small idea, right? Okay. If you are a technical guy, you might have heard the word called uh, beta. Okay. For example, if there is an application that is coming into a Windows store or an Android Play Store or an iOS store. For example, see, now the Android 12 is coming. It's being rolled out. Now you can test the Android 12 beta. Okay, so the beta is a version where the developers will know that will have problems, that will have bugs, but they are confident enough to roll out. If the people are bringing out issues, they can fix it. Okay, so when you call something as beta, there has to be alpha, right? So in the system testing, whatever you're testing, that is called the alpha. Okay, that this particular phase can also be called as alpha testing. If you want more information about it, just go and Google as beta applications for Android or beta applications for iOS. You will get plenty of applications which are in which have been rolled out to the consumers, but they are not officially announced that they are bug free. The beta is known as it will contain bug, but it's good for your usage. The system testing is alpha testing. Let's say like a product that is ready to move out of the industry, it is ready, but still it is in the industry. That's all. That is alpha testing. So acceptance testing mostly comes into a service based application. So this can also be a product based application as well, but mostly this is used in a service based application only. Now you might have heard that in and around your relations or people who go on site. Why do people go on site, right? Do you have any idea about why people go on site? Because for example, in a service based company, let's say that the software is being built in India, in Chennai, Bangalore, Mumbai, Delhi, Pune, Coimbatore, wherever. Okay. So the particular software is being deployed. Okay, the software is built, let's say in CTS Chennai or in CTS Coimbatore or Bangalore, wherever. But the software has to run in the US banking system. That the software has to run in a London banking system. So uh, what the CTS team will do is they will just create the entire software. They will do all the test runs here in the Chennai premises or in the local premises. But whatever testing we do, we will not be sure enough that whether that particular software that we created is going to perfectly work in the onshore location. Okay, so that is where people are going to, that is where people will go to the onshore location to deploy and maintain. Okay, so that particular piece is called as acceptance testing. Okay, you say you like we discussed, a product alpha testing is done. Yeah, the product is ready, the product is being deployed in the consumer's, in the client's place, and our test engineers or the deployment engineers will move on to the destination where the software software is being run. They will deploy there, they will install all those applications there, and they will check from the end where the target customer is using. So this is called acceptance testing. The term itself, you can understand that acceptance, whether the system is accepting the new software or not. Okay, so this can also be known as beta testing, but it is not exactly beta testing. But beta testing in somewhere, that's what I told, right? We can say n number of testing terms, so we can have n number of definitions, but this is a sort of a beta testing, but not exactly. A beta will have agreed to have bugs, but a successful completed product is not accepted to have bugs or issues, maybe very minimal. So the next thing that we are focusing here is deployment. We have already discussed about it in the last section, that is the acceptance. Since I've told more about testing, we covered it in the previous section itself. So deployment is nothing but just you deploy the particular software to the end user, the third party user. Okay. Right. So we have discussed about the common way of preparing a particular software. We have this is the typical way that every service-based company or every normal company creates their own project. But when you this has been into the company's practice for nearly some 40 to 50 years as of today. So over the years, right, what companies will do, basically, you just think about human psychology. We want to ease up, ease up all the process. We want to bring out a simple process, an efficient process that utilizes every single resource time. Okay, so let's say I'm just getting back to this this flow. Okay, let's say that now when you look at the slide, you see requirement analysis is done, planning, software design, software development, testing, deployment, maintenance. Okay, so when the requirement analysis is happening, what does the developer do? When the planning is happening, what does the testing team do? When the testing is happening, what does the software development team will do? So it is like it is happening like a relay race. Okay, one person picks up something and gives it to the next person. So till the first person reaches the second person is standing idle. Okay, at that time the company has to pay every single person. Okay, so this as over the period of time, this has become it's not so cost effective. So that is when the new models have come into place. This is very important, guys. If you are planning any time to get into an IT company, listen to this very carefully, because whatever company that you are getting into right now, they are only following this methodology. If as a fresher, if you have knowledge on these topics, the interviewer will be thoroughly impressed, trust me. Okay, okay, so we are getting back to the development methodologies here. So the first is waterfall model. So waterfall model is what we discussed right now. So the things happen one after another, one after another, one after another. So like how you see the waterfall, it comes from above and falls down. So simple. So next is an iterative model. An iterative model is something like okay, an iterative model is you have a requirement document. In the requirement document, you have thousands of requirement. You take every single 100 requirements as one iteration. Okay, you take as one iteration. You complete only the first 100 requirements and the next 100 requirements. So step by step, you will be doing the development process by just dividing the 1,000 requirements. So next is a V model. So when you take V model is like I can show you the picture, but I didn't bring it up today. So the V model is like will be the structure will be like exactly like V, where if the development happens, the testing will happen simultaneously. So the implementation will happen, again the testing will happen. So similarly it will go like in a V format. So that is why this particular development structure is called as a V model development methodology. Here now we have agile model. So agile model is the greatest applied model till now. This is the model that I gave you an introduction that if you are looking, if you are moving or if you're going for a software company interview, if you have ideas on these agile model technologies, right, and we are going to discuss about DevOps also. Agile model technology, right, people, the interviewer will be thoroughly impressed, and because they will not be expecting this amount of depth from a fresher, but this is really a good to have knowledge and a skill. Okay, so now agile model, right? So agile model is something like it's a combination of iterative model and V model. So you just combine iterative model and V model, and what happens is like in every single phase, in every single phase, uh, all the three teams, the business team, the development team, the testing team, will be working simultaneously. When I just before I explained in the waterfall model, when the person one is working, the person three is idle, right? So now you create a model where the person one, person two, person three, all are working in combination. Okay, so this is where the you are utilizing the human resource in a much more effective way. And also just think about when every phase each person is working, the time is taken, and all three persons working at same time, the time is reduced and the cost is reduced. So this is why there is no alternative method for agile model. The agile model has been in practice for nearly, I think, about 5 to 10 years roughly, but till now there is no other model that has replaced this agile model. When you say the word agile, agile itself means that you are capable of changing, you are capable of taking new forms. That is what the word agile means. So if, for example, I'm working in a project that follows agile model basically, but not 100% agile, so that is the major advantage of agile. You can modify the methodology based on your application. Okay, that is not going to happen in waterfall, iterative, V model, spiral model, and there are a number of methodologies. So agile is very important, guys. So as I just told you, most of the models these days are not followed. The important model is agile and DevOps. So we are getting back to DevOps later. So next is agile methodology. um, Please ensure that you listen to this. Okay, so in an agile methodology, right, in an agile methodology, the requirements are categorized. For example, let's say that you're talking about Flipkart application. In the Flipkart application, you have electronics section, you have home section, you have pet section, you have toy section. Okay, now you let's say you are developing, the developers are just taking the tech section or taking the toy section. They'll just create only the particular piece that is required for that. Okay, so for example, for building that application, right, in the planning section, as I told you earlier, today is May 29. Let's say we are starting by June 1st. Okay, the delivery date is Jan 1st of next year. So we roughly have around I think I'm dried up. I'll be back in some time. Okay, just give me a quick minute. I'll take some water and we'll be back. Yeah, sorry guys, thank you for waiting for me. I'm back. Yes. We are talking about the delivery dates, right? So what happens is roughly there is 6 months for one particular development. Uh, for the entire 6 months, the project delivery will be segregated into sprints. Okay, one sprint will take 2 weeks of time roughly. So if you're taking about two sprints, it will take 1 month. So you have 12 sprints. So this is how a project is categorized. When you think about development, people will just ask how many sprints. That's all. So when you take sprint, and you have already defined in your planning structure that you have 12 sprints for this particular project, that can add up to one or plus or minus one or two. So after which that will impact the company's revenue model. So they have to stick into the particular time. For example, if a particular piece of code has to be built in a particular phase in the week 1 and week 2, that has to be tested, that has to be done in every single sprints. So let's say in the week 1, okay, now we are talking about the sprint 1 here. Just look at it. In the sprint 1, only the toy section is given for development. Okay, so the business team will explain the requirements to the development team, and the development team will have a meeting with the dev team and business team. So in most cases, that particular meeting will happen within all three teams. So that we are going to talk about in the next slide, that is called as a scrum meeting. So this meeting is called as a scrum meeting. Okay, so in scrum meeting they will decide, okay, for this particular sprint, for this particular 2 weeks of time, what are we going to build? Okay, let's say the dev team is building feature by feature. One day one feature, the next day another feature. So when they build the feature, simultaneously testing team will test it. Okay, the feature 2 will come, team will test it. So let's say in the feature 1 they are giving a they are finding an issue, they log it. So the issue 1 is there, issue 2 is there. In the sprint 2, what they'll do is they'll fix the first issue, the feature 1 issue that was recognized by testing team. So sprint after sprint, they will have a chart called burn down chart. Okay, so the burn down chart is, for example, in the sprint 1, the testing team have identified some 300 issues, let's say roughly. So the burn down chart will be like a chart where in the second sprint, if the development team is fixing some 20 issues, so now we have 280. In the next sprint, where the development team is fixing some another 200 issues. So somewhere the graph has to come down, and it has to come down to 0 in the sprint number 12. Okay, so this ensure, this particular model, if you think about it, ensures that the complete process, the complete product will have a revisit. For example, in the sprint 1 you have an issue, sprint 2 you have another issue, sprint 3 you have another issue, but in the sprint 12 you have to answer all the issues that were identified right from the sprint 1. Okay, so this is very important. So this is how this agile model is making an efficient product by answering all the issues that were raised in different phases in different sprints. Okay, so this is just a minimal or just a basic idea of how sprint works. In every sprint, okay, when the sprint starts, in the first day of the sprint, okay, there is a meeting called scrum meeting. Okay, this is the scrum meeting that we are talking about. In the scrum meeting, what happens is there is a product backlog. Okay, this is a product backlog that we are discussing. The product backlog is nothing, just let's say that in the sprint 1, you have 10 features and you have built only 9 features. There is one feature left that will be carried over to sprint 2. So this is the product backlog. In the sprint 2, you have 10 features, you have built only one, and you are taking forward 2 requirements. So like how this particular whatever the requirements that are left out in the previous sprint will be discussed in the present sprint. Okay, so this sprint meeting will happen. This will be conducted by the product owner, development team, scrum master. A scrum master, a product owner will have complete control and decision on whatever needs to be done on the product. He can be from the client side also, or he can be from our company side also. A scrum master is just like a manager who just organizes this meeting and ensures that everything is going on time, on track. Development team is, as you know, is purpose. You have daily scrum. Daily scrum can be called as a daily meetings also. The daily scrum is just 10 minutes or 20 minutes work, that when you get into the office, when there's a sprint running, they will call you for a daily stand-up call or a daily scrum call. So in the scrum call, people will discuss on what needs to be done, or what are the chunk of work that is allocated to you on the particular day. When you get out of the office, you have to ensure that the job given to you is done. The sprint review is uh, just going back what has happened in the previous thing. The sprint retro is every single week you have to find out whatever issues that you have come across in the previous sprints. For example, your failures or your challenges, those things will be discussed in the sprint retro. Sprint planning is nothing, the whatever we are talking is sprint planning. So this is the entire thing about a scrum meeting. So this scrum meeting is very, very important to drive that particular 2 weeks. Okay, a scrum meeting is a day one meeting to drive the sprint 1 and sprint 2. Yeah, in the sprint 1 and sprint 2, people will pick a particular set of features and they will create a software product. Okay, like how we discussed, right? What we discussed in the integration testing, we took a rocket as an example, and we thought the head is built, body is built, and then the tail is built, and then they are being integrated, right? And you completely check the thorough. This is happening in the agile model also. So the particular piece of work will be categorized or will be partitioned into equal parts, and those parts are called as sprint. In the sprint, BA team, I mean the business analyst team, developer team, testing team will work together to achieve that. And based on every single iterate, they'll keep fixing, and in the final product they will bring up a perfect software product. This is how happening in agile methodology. Okay, now if you remember, we talked about agile methodology and development, DevOps. Okay, so that is called as DevOps model. So development and operations model. Now whatever we discussed, right? So that stays between the customer, for example, a third party customer, the software requirement guy, that is the BA guy, and the developer and tester, right? So only from within this the agile model ends. But after this, right, when they create a product and they are trying to deploy the product in the operations section, or like what we discussed in acceptance testing, we discussed beta testing, right? So at that point, either the tester guy goes and installs, or an operation guy or the IT infrastructure guy goes and installs. So here, let's say if there is not a good understanding between the operations guy and the testing guy, or the people who develop the particular product. So just to answer this gap, people from operations and IT infrastructure will be part of agile model as well. So to ensure that the product right from the scratch, right from the papers, and towards the installing, towards the deployment, it works perfectly fine. The people whoever working in this phase, everyone is in sync, and they have to deliver a clean quality software. So this is where the DevOps model comes into picture. As I told you, DevOps is the practice of bringing development operations team together, whereas Agile is an iterative approach that focuses on collaboration, customer feedback, rapid releases. Like I told you, right? So the operations team, but in the operations teams that will be put into the development phase, from where they will have to understand the particular project of how a business team has a particular understanding, a development team has particular understanding about the product, about the particular requirements. The development team or the development operations team will have the same. development team will have the same. So this completes it in a way that they develop a good quality software. So these are the things I wanted to cover for today. I think I've done pretty much for whatever I planned. I had some other things also, but I did not want to over dump or overdo the topics. There are still there are so many things to discuss. Whatever I've covered right now is just a 10% of an IT company does, or whatever the project delivery requirement, everything, the particular process that we discussed, right? Just a 10% of the things that I've discussed. I've just touched base all those topics. Out of your own interest only, you have to learn all those things. And yeah, I'm pretty much done. Thank you, people, for listening to me. If you have any questions, you can proceed. I'm sure that I've done overdone. I've given so many information which is not relevant to you, or which is could have, a few things could have been really new to you, but you have to delve deeper and to get into the good understanding. You have to do your own research and study. Okay. Yeah. Over to Purushothaman.
Yes, Mohan. Yes, Mohan. You have given a wonderful session. I think my voice is audible.
Yes, you're audible, Purushothaman. Yes.
Yeah. You have covered a lot of topics in IT field, and even though in other than our IT field, I think you have covered more than 50% of, from the IT field. I think so that agile and development model. I think that was the from the corporate field.
Yes.
Is it right, Mohan?
Yes, almost. These are the major operations. These are the major procedures. But just to give you a highline, this is it. So if you have to delve deeper, you will get more information. But on a bird eye view, these are the things that are being carried over in an IT company. That's all.
Yes, Mohan. Yes, Mohan. You have given us such a wonderful session.
Thank you.
I call upon Dr. M. Sangita to give an vote of thanks.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Purushothaman. Good afternoon to one and all gathering here. First of all, I would like to thank our beloved principal. Sir, you gave me an opportunity to take this auspicious occasion. On behalf of the entire management, I would like to thank our chief guest, Mr. Mohanraj, associate project. He delivered a wonderful speech oriented of IIC. Sir, your primary mandate of Mike is to encourage, inspire, and nurture young students by supporting them to work with new ideas and transform them into prototype while they are in formative years. Thank you, sir. Once again, thank you all those who participate this IIC program for this session as a grateful. Thank you one and all gathering here.
Thank you.
Yes, professors and my dear students, if you have any doubts, you can feel free to ask to Mr. Mohanraj, or if you want to put it in the chat box so that I can ask.
Guys, if you're interested to know particular things, as I told in the start of our call, you can reach out Purushothaman sir to personally get in touch with me if you want to know furtherly know more about every topic, or if you want any career guidance or what needs to be done and what are the technology that you have to study. Remember that I've not talked about technology yet. I've just talked about methodologies and what are the operations that are done in every single phase. We can talk about technology an entire day. Okay, you can talk about database, you can talk about development technology, testing technology. There are so many. Please get in touch with Purushothaman if you want to know more. It's based on your interest only. Thank you.
Thank you, Mohan. Thank you, Mohan. We will shall wind up the session, Mohan. I think there is no more questions. You have given a wonderful session so that there is no more questions have been raised.
No problem.
Yeah. Thank you, Morgan. We'll
Thank you,
wind up.
Mr. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
you. Bye.